I tell people all the time, it's like, yeah, working with artists is a great way to make income as a producer, but syncing is huge money. I can do a Kmart commercial that's 15 seconds long. You're talking about $15,000 for the fee, and then maybe another 5 or 10 grand on the master.
Peace, what's going down? It's DJ Payne, one for BeatStars.com, here in the building with a producer who has a lot of history. I feel like I'm going to learn a lot from this interview. Wysh, what's going down?
What's up, Payne? Great to be here, man. I appreciate you doing this.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on and sharing your experiences, of which you have many. So let's start at the very beginning. When did you start producing?
I started producing, probably really got into it in the late 90s, but didn't really start getting good at it probably till the early 2000s. Yeah, so I started off with a Korg Triton. That's one of my favorite producers was Pharrell. So I was like, whatever he's using, that's what I'm using.
So you said something interesting. You said you didn't get good at it until later. This is a question that comes up a lot with producers, beat makers. How were you able to tell that you weren't good, and then how were you able to identify what you needed to change in order to get good, and then how did you know that you had improved at that point?
So when I first started, the reason I knew I wasn't good is it just like, first of all, my mix was horrible. My kicks and snares would be just out of whack. My melodies were real simple. And it's not that they might have not been that good. It's just to my standards of, like I said, a Timbaland or a Pharrell, I was like, these are nowhere near where they need to be. And that's how I always try to strive to be really good at something. So I felt like I had to be at their level before I was like, these are decent, which I didn't get to that level in a couple of years, but still.
So what advice would you give to a producer who's just not quite sure how they measure up, and they want to become better listeners, and they want to become better producers as a result of analyzing music that's already out there, for example?
Yeah, I'd say check out the competition. I'm not saying go bite people. I mean, that kind of, I'm not gonna lie, when I first started, I sounded like Dr. Dre, I sounded like Timbaland, I sounded like Neptunes, and I think by kind of doing that, I actually then was able to find my own sound within that. So I just tell people, just be creative. Don't find your favorite producers and kind of see what they're doing that you like, and maybe add that to your collection. So
with regards to mixing, getting better mixes, what's some advice you can give producers too, especially ones who don't have backgrounds as engineers, haven't gone to school to become recording engineers, that kind of thing? How can they start improving their mixes by themselves?
Right. First thing I'm going to say is, mixing is not all about all these crazy effects all the time. I say start with your volumes and pans. I think that's the most important thing in a mix is see where all your levels are. Make sure, like if you like I said, I like drums, so I keep my drums at a certain level. I want those to be above the track, and then I start filling things in with the volumes. And then use your pans so not everything's down the middle. You want to widen out your track, so if you do like a melody, maybe keep that in the center, but maybe if you start adding counter melodies, I kind of pan those out. Maybe I'll do one to the left, and then if I have a hook melody, I'll kind of bring that to the right. And then bring your low end in and make sure that that's hitting with your kick. Then you can start getting the EQing. If your kick and 808 aren't matching, maybe you can start cutting out some of the low end of your kick, or whatever you have to do. And then the second thing is reverb. If your track sounds simple and you're like, I don't know where to go with this, add some reverb in there. It's going to fill in the cracks. If you have a main melody that's kind of driving, but you feel like it still feels empty, put some reverb on it and some delays. And then the more you do it, the better you get. Like, I didn't go to school for this, but the more I did it, and reference, use a reference, pull one of your favorite tracks out and go back and forth until it sounds similar.
Great advice. So you started making beats in the 90s. When did you start licensing beats online? Because you were an early adapter in that world.
That's going to be, early 2000s, probably like 2002, 2003, I started leasing beats. And it's a lot different than it is now. Back then, we didn't cater to the type beat of like, let's say Little Baby or something. It would have been Dr. Dre type beat. Timbaland type beat, Neptunes type beat. That's how we used to cater to artists. Is you make a type of beat to a producer, and now it's changed. It's to an artist. And also we didn't have all the cool things like that BeatStars has. We didn't have if someone bought a beat off me, I had to say, hey, you can either send me a check or here's my PayPal information, and then I'll send it to you after I get it. And then I'd write out a contract basically. I mean, I'd have a template, and I'd have to write their name in and everything. I'd have to send it to them, and sometimes I even send it in the mail. So it's a lot different. I mean, we have a lot of better tools nowadays as far as leasing goes.
So it's kind of a trade-off, but back then there were very few producers. Who were some of the other producers that started licensing beats around that same time?
And one of my buddies actually still does it. He's pretty big even on BeatStars. His name is Rocket Productions. So I'm kind of started around the same time. God, I'm trying to think of who else was out there.
First guy I remember was Soul Eternity. He was also from the Midwest.
Okay. Another one of my friends.
Yeah. Shout out to him.
Well, he's an entrepreneur. He's always doing something. Every time I talk to him, he's like, "Oh man, I'm teaching this now, and I'm doing this." So he's a good dude. Super talented too.
Because I saw him doing it. He was doing it on MP3.com. So that was one of the first platforms that I saw where you could get instant delivery of a digital file. That's where you started too?
That's where I started. Yeah.
What was your first placement?
My first placement that was actually pretty big is I got contacted by Midway Games. They had heard my tracks from being online. And I talked to this guy named his name Johnny Valentino, and he worked there. And he said, "Hey man, I really like your stuff. We're doing something new in the video game world. We got this game. It's called NBA Ballers, and it's not only a basketball game, but it's a lifestyle. So the more you play and the better you get, you can update your life. Like basically, you can get mansions and gold chains and new clothes and all this stuff." And he said, "But we want to have this underground kind of cool feel. We didn't want to just get tracks already out there." And he's like, "I want you to kind of headline this. I want you to do the majority of the music." And, I went and met him. And what was cool is I was living in Chicago, and he was and their office was in Chicago. So we met up. He took me around the facility, looked at the game, and I said, "Dude, I'm down. I'm totally going to do this." And that was my first big check. I think I did 20 beats and 5 songs, and I think it was like 25 grand. And I was like, man, for my first kind of placement, I thought that was pretty awesome.
What year was this?
2000, I don't know. It's got to be early 2000, I would think.
So since then, you've had more experience with licensing to film, to video games, commercials, that sort of thing, right?
Yeah. So I've been doing that for a while. Even now, I live in Nashville now. My publisher's here too. They have an office, so I've been doing some pitches with them, and I tell people all the time, it's like, yeah, working with artists is a great way to make income as a producer, but syncing is huge money. I can do a Kmart commercial that's 15 seconds long. You're talking about $15,000 for the fee, and then maybe another 5 or 10 grand on the master. I did a movie trailer. I got like 20 grand for that, and it's just like people need to understand like that there's a lot of money in syncing, and I tell producers like go after that.
Okay, so what's some advice you can give to a producer beyond go after the syncs? What are some ways to build a relationship with the people, music supervisors and so forth, who can actually get you those placements?
I'd say, reach out to publishers, maybe contact them, say, hey, I'm a writer. Would you mind checking out my music? And it's not going to happen all the time. A lot of publishers like to sign of course, writers because they want to make money off all the income that you already have coming in. But sometimes if they hear talent, they're going to be like, hey, I know I can get placements with this guy or girl. And I mean, there's some other things like Song Trader. I've heard people have had some luck on. Taxi, I've heard good and bad. But there are, some of these online companies that do that for you. You pay a small fee and they will pitch stuff for you. So I would say start there, And then if you get a placement, then you're definitely going to, you can talk to a publisher. But there's goods and bads of signing with a publisher too as well. So,
well, what are some pros? What are some cons?
A pro with signing with a publisher, if you can get a good percentage. So basically, they're going to take a percentage of your publishing, depending on what kind of deal you do. So everything's negotiable. If you already have a lot of big placements out there, I would say maybe not go with a publisher because but you're going to have to be able to collect that on your own and figure out somebody that can help you with that. But the benefit of signing with a publisher, let's say you don't have any income coming in yet, because sometimes we don't get paid in the industry right away. It might be 6 months, might be 8 months. You might have had there might be something on the album that wasn't right, and guess what? Everybody has to wait on their money for that. So I'd say if you sign with a publisher, they're going to give you upfront money, and in return, of course, they're going to collect a percentage off of that, but they will go out there and do their due diligence to make sure they get your money for you. So pros and cons.
Got it, got it. So speaking of big placements, I heard that you produced a beat for the CEO of BeatStars.
Yeah. So basically,
That was $1 million check, right?
yeah, that should be now. But basically, yeah, 2 years ago, I was actually, I used to run a college out in St. Louis, and I was talking to some of the students, and they're like, "Hey, man, you heard of this company called BeatStars? They're online. They help you sell beats and stuff." I said, "No, I never heard of them." I went and checked them out. Went on there, and I was like, "You know what? I'm going to reach out to whoever owns this site because I want to get back into leasing beats." I was like, "I miss it, and it's great extra income." And I reached out to Abe. I emailed him. I said, this guy's probably not going to get back to me, but I kind of put it in there. I said, "Hey, my name's Wysh Master. I don't know if you know who I am, but I'm one of the originators of, leasing beats. And I figure since that's what you're doing, you might, I'm thinking about joining with you." And, he's like, "Hey, bro, call me." I was like, "All right, cool." So I call him and I go, "Hey, what's up, Abe, man? I'm thinking about joining BeatStars, and, I don't know if you know who I am, whatever." And he's like, "Dude, do I know who you are?" He's like, "Bro, I used to buy beats off you." And I was like, so that's how I found that out. So that was pretty cool. And then, yeah, ever since then, man, just been a really cool dude.
Yeah, what's your experience been? Because you're sticking with them as your platform, right?
I definitely am. Yes. Yeah, BeatStars. I mean, it's like I said back when I used to lease beats, I had to do everything. They do everything for you. They send the beats off. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to do that. They send the contract. They put the name of the person and the amount they paid and everything in the contract. You can tweak the contract. You could put deals. I mean, that's cool. If you want to do buy one, get one free, which that's one of the deals I do. It's really easy. You just put it right in there, and it automatically does everything for you. They promote their own people. I've never heard of that. When I was on SoundClick, I don't remember SoundClick. They say, "Hey, man, Wysh, you're at the top of the charts. Let me help you promote." I just feel like they're just well-rounded, and for what you're paying, you're getting so much more. I was talking to some guys like, "Man, I don't know if I could do $20 a month." I said, they give you so many tools that if you can't sell a beat a month, then I'm telling you, that's going to pay for itself. You know what I mean? And you just have to figure out what you're doing.
So switching gears,
yeah,
you lived in St. Louis for a long time. Obvious question is, did you work with Nelly? Nelly's a St. Louis legend.
Yeah. So I've done over 30 songs with Nelly.
30 songs?
Yeah, not placed. I've done 30 songs with him, but I've done 3 songs that actually got released. I used to, full time. I used to go to his studio. Nelly always worked at night, so he'd be like, "Hey, hey pimp, meet me at the studio." I'd be like, "All right, what time you want me to be there?" He'd go, "Meet me at 11." You know what I mean? He'd get there probably 12, 1 a.m., and he'd work all the way till the afternoon. And I did that probably every day for a couple of years. So, we just knocked out record after record. So, yeah, super cool dude, though. He's actually going to start working on a record here pretty soon, so I'm going to try to jump on that.
So were you creating from scratch with him when you were in the studio with him?
Sometimes I would create from scratch. A lot of times I'd go home and I'd start. So when I work with an artist, I kind of like try to sing like him or rap like him while I'm creating the beat. Some people make fun of me for it because I would say like, "Hey, da 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 da," I'll start doing that while I'm making the beat because I know his type of vibe. And then I usually create beats and then just bring them to the studio the next day. And what I was known for by his entire camp is if you call Wysh, he's going to have 15 or 20 beats ready in a day. And I'm just very, I love making beats so much that it's just that I just knock through them real quickly.
Okay, so there's another iconic rap artist from Missouri that I believe you've worked with. His name is Tech N9ne. He co-owns Strange Music. You've done some work with not just him, but with the whole Strange Music camp, right?
Yeah, a lot of work with him. Yeah.
So how did you link up with Tech N9ne?
So Tech N9ne came through St. Louis. He was doing a show, and I'll be honest with you, I never heard Tech N9ne before then because I'm from Chicago and I was a Twister fan, and everybody always told me, "Oh, Tech N9ne's faster than Twister," and I'm like, "No, sorry, I don't even want to hear this stuff." And then, I looked him up. I'm like, "This dude has red hair." You know what I mean? I'm not going to listen to this. I was just being judgmental. And I was already upset because they're like telling me he's better than Twister and everything. And so I got invited through, I was the production team I was with out. And they're like, "Hey, we're going to go meet Tech N9ne and we're going to give him some beats." And I ended up going to this concert and I was just blown away. I was like, this dude is crazy talented. He came out rapping to a machine gun, literally, and hit every single bullet. And he came out with the whole like pastor outfit and 2 ladies in bikinis came out, took it off him. I was like, this is a show. I'm used to people on stage. When I was working on, they would just hold the mic like this. There's not a lot of action and there's a beat to play. He actually puts on a show. And I was so impressed that by the time I met him, I was sitting there, I was like, man, I was almost like starstruck. I was like, damn, I was like, this dude is super talented. I gave him a CD full of beats, and next thing you know, I did 5 tracks on his album. Yeah, on Killer.
I'll be damned. Yeah, I think that's kind of well, for me, that was my feeling when I first really dove into Tech N9ne's catalog. I was teaching, and this kid gave me a Tech N9ne CD. And I'm like, yeah, I've heard of him. Everybody says he's good. I mean, how you don't know what to think, and then you listen, and I didn't have the stage show experience, but just listening, I was blown away. I've never heard an artist like that before.
Because everybody's like, oh, yeah, he's a devil worshiper, and he does this, and I'm like, oh my god, you know what I mean? So you get that stuck in your head, and then you actually see him and hear him. It's like, this dude's crazy talented. So, and then from there, yeah, I've produced a few more of his albums, and then I've worked with almost everybody in his camp.
Yeah, you did some stuff with Stevie Stone. Which were you on the Stevie Stone and JLB Hood album too?
Wait, which one did you say?
The collaborative album he did, because I don't know, I'm doing a lot of work with him. I'm trying to see if we've been on the same album before.
I did like 2 Birds, 1 Stone. I first worked with him when he was signed to who was he signed to? Was it Reckless? Okay, yeah, he was. So when he was first signed, so I'm actually friends with Steve. I actually just talked to him yesterday. So yeah, are you you have no tracks for his new record? I guess
yeah. Well, the new record, the Set in Stone record, I already had the first track with Tech N9ne.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I lose track sometimes, and I'm like, man, people bring up like, oh, did you? I was like, man, I can't think that. I'm really good with it. Like,
all right, that's a hint. Well, here's a record that you will remember because everybody remembers this because it's so out of the blue. I'm on a boat. This is a platinum. I mean, you already had plaques. Nelly's album went gold. Some of those DTP projects you did got certified as well. But I'm on a boat. It's a platinum single. It's a comedy record.
Yeah.
T-Pain's on it. Promoted by SNL. How the hell did that happen?
All right, so I'm going to tell you the story right now. So basically, I was in the studio with Nelly, and this guy A&R for their record label came. He called up Nelly's studio and said, "Hey, I'm looking for producers. I need some beats." And it's for this dude I'm looking at in East St. Louis. He's a rapper. He's working on this mixtape, and we need some beats. So of course they're like, "Oh, we got this dude Wysh, man. He makes like hella beats. He's got you." So the dude hit me up. He's like, "Man, I need beats for this guy's mixtape." So my first reaction, and I don't know if you feel the same way. Oh, mixtape? Like really? Like you want me to give you beats so you can put on a mixtape? Like I'm not going to get paid on this. And so I automatically was like, man, I don't want to miss an opportunity, but I also don't want to give this dude the best beats I have because, he's going to put it on a mixtape, and if someone hears it, they're going to like, I don't want to use that anymore. So I gave him some of my throwaway beats. All right. So if nobody knows the throwaway beats, we like producers have these piles of beats that we like love, and then we have these beats like, dude, what was I thinking? Right.
And ironically, people love the beats that we don't.
And real quick, I'll do a little side thing. I would get in the studio with Nelly and play a beat that's like I spent probably like 6 hours on. I'm like, this is dedicated to this dude. I know that he can like kill this. And then he'll skip it after 5 seconds and play a 5-minute loop that I was working on. I'm like, bro, this is it. Put it in there. It kills me that people will love the stuff you don't. So anyways, that was one of the beats on there. And I got a call from him. I want to say a few months later, he said, "Hey, how much do you want for this track?" And I think at the time I was like, I didn't think anything of it. I was thinking, I don't even know the artist. I'm like, bro, just give me $5,000 for it. He's like, all right, dude, I got you, man. I was thinking, damn, he was quick about that. Send me a quick contract. Said, hey, it's $5,000. And they said for the Lonely Island. I'm like, I've never even heard of these dudes before. I'm like, all right, this. Let's see what happens. Next thing you know, time goes by. Don't even think about it. I remember it saying something about a boat on there, and my brother goes, "Hey, didn't you say you? Yeah, something about a boat." And he goes, "Didn't you say, you did a song called, something about a boat with a Lonely Island song?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, "Dude, it's on SNL right now." And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "T-Pain's on there." So next thing you know, like my face went bright red, and I was like, "What the hell's going on?" I went on and I couldn't find it anywhere, and then all of a sudden I found it on Google, and I'm like, "What the hell?" And they're on this huge boat, and I'm like, "This is legit." This is on SNL, and like this is a song, and I immediately called my entertainment lawyer. So they basically released it without us doing the paperwork. They did the initial release where I got my advance, but we didn't do the paperwork. So we negotiated for a while. The Lonely Island, talented guys, they're comedians, so they don't understand how writing works. And producers, we're writers as well. We make the music. It's 50%, and then 50% goes to the lyrics. They didn't agree with that. They wanted to split it all even. T-Pain's like, dude, just give me 10%, I'm out. So he took 10%. He was fine. So that leaves you with what? 90, right? 50 to Wysh, 40 to Lonely Island. They wanted to give the third guy, not on the song, piece of the publishing. So we had to negotiate for a while. So I ended up getting the biggest pot, but we had to do some negotiating and get that done. But that's how I got that placement, man.
Say you got you don't have to tell me. Say you got 35% of.
I got to run that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll be honest.
I'm good.
I'm open book, dude.
35% of a or 40 whatever it was of a hit song. I mean, that generates a fair amount of revenue on the publishing side, does it not? Yeah.
I still get paid. Yeah, my publisher pays twice a year, and I still get paid off that BMI. I get ASCAP checks. That song still does well. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Once you get a record like that, and it can have a long life. So, and that's why I tell people, know what your publishing is, protect your publishing. Don't just sign off. Don't the first guy that tells you, hey man, I know this person. I can get you on Justin Bieber's record. All you gotta do is give me half your publishing. That's what they do, and you have to understand that's everybody wants to get your publishing, and that's what producers need to hold on to.
Okay, so now we're getting into some education.
You like these segues?
This is a perfect segue because Nelly actually did he start an educational institution?
Yeah, so Vadrock College teamed up with Nelly, and they opened up a music college out in St. Louis.
Okay, and you taught there for some time.
I ran it. So yeah, me and the engineer, who was Nelly's engineer, we ran the school together. We wrote all the curriculum. And I did that for 8 years, and it was a recording, engineering, and production school, and I was the one who wrote the beat courses. So it was how to make a beat, and then I did advanced beat making,
which is amazing. And generally speaking, for producers who want a formal education, there aren't very many options. It's you either go to school to become an engineer or you just learn on your own. And this was specifically for beat makers, producers.
Yeah.
That was that kind of trajectory.
Yeah, exactly. And I learned on my own. It's not that you can't learn on your own, but this is the thing about producers that I find they don't. If no one holds them accountable, they don't do the work, and that's what it was. So I held them accountable. I made them. I said, hey man, you have to make this type of beat today, and you have to have it done by 3:00. I'm holding you accountable. If you don't get it done, you're not going to get the grade. And pushing, it's like that's what I've had to do my entire life. It's never, hey, this guy's working on a record. You got a few months. Take your time. Especially when you're doing a publishing pitch. I get an email and it says, hey, Crest is looking for a commercial. It's $20K. I need it done by 4 p.m. It's like, you have to learn sometimes to work under those conditions.
Yeah, I said that recently, and a lot of people disagreed with me. But hey, this man's saying it too. Shout out to Wysh. So you're continuing to teach, no longer at that same institution, but you have a new partnership with another institution. You have a new plan. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so while I was there, I was working on. So it was a great school, but it was more geared toward the recording side of things. I ended up leaving. They ended up closing a couple months later after I left, which I'm sorry about that. And I teamed up with Remington College out in Nashville, and they're a non-for-profit. And I'm basically doing I want to call it like an entrepreneurship production program, the modern day producer. And I'm teaching, of course, beat making. I'm teaching advanced beat making, just like I was talking about the publishing pitches, like how to go advanced with what you're doing. I'm teaching business. That's the first course you're going to take. It's you have to learn business, or else what are you doing this for? And then I get into how to sell beats. I'm teaching techniques. I get into, simple things as far as like putting a video together, how to market, email marketing. A lot of those things that I see a lot of producers not doing. Customer service. I'm not gonna lie to you. I make a lot of money off artists because of you. Other producers do not have customer service. You don't answer back your emails when somebody said, "Hey man, I love your beats. How much for the 3 beats or what?" And I get a lot of people that hit me and say, "Thank you for the fast response." I've hit up like 5 people already trying to work on a project, and it's like you have to have customer service in this business. And then after that, I teach vocal production. And the reason I teach vocal production is to be a well-rounded producer is because you need to be able to work with an artist. Not that you need to. You can still make money leasing beats, but why not blow up with the next artist? Why not be able to learn how to record an artist, how to do vocal production? And I don't mean just vocal production doing auto-tune. I mean to sit there and work with them in a studio and guide them along, bring the best out of them. You know, a lot of people don't know how to do that. And to be a well-rounded producer, that's how you want to come up. You know what I mean? You want to be the guy to say, hey, I blew up Little Baby. I produced his whole record, you know? And then I get into, you know, different things of that nature. I get into songwriting, and the reason I put a songwriting course is there because my whole life I've gotten in the studio and I don't write lyrics. I sit there for 4 hours playing the same beat over and over again while the writers are sitting there writing. It is boring beyond belief. So I had to teach myself, hey, what if I turn around in my chair and say, hey, let's work on this song together. Let me give you some pointers, or let's. And guess what happens when you start writing lyrics on top of your beats? You start getting more publishing. And I remember the first time I did that, I did a song in Japan, and I ended up getting like 60% of the song because I wrote some of the lyrics as well. So I just think it's important. Now, you don't have to write songs, but to be a part of that process, I think is very important.
Let's end with this. How do people find your online beat catalog? How do people connect with you on social media, learn more about your upcoming institutional partnership, so forth?
So it's Wishmaster Beats with a Y, not an I. So it's WYSHmasterbeats.com. All my social medias are the same. That's another thing, guys. Keep your social medias the same if you can. I see a lot of producers, they have different Twitters, different Instagrams, different, you know, Facebooks. You want to kind of keep that together, you know, if you can, try to. So everything is just Wishmaster Beats. And then as far as Remington, it's just remingtoncollege.edu/beats. And my program will be starting here either next month or the month after that.
Great. Well, thanks a lot. That was a dense interview. This is the kind of interview that people need to watch probably more than once and take some notes, learn, come right back. So I appreciate it.
Especially coming from you because you understand the whole production game too. So.
Well, I learned a lot. I learned a lot from this interview. So thank you once again. Much continued success.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.